Hi everyone, I'm Tom and today I'm going to be playing Clinic Deluxe Edition, the campaign book, which includes 9 different modules across 3 of the extension boxes of Clinic. This is an edited version of a live stream that I did the other day, and so it didn't have a proper introduction, and here that is. So let's just jump into me explaining things. So there was a Kickstarter more recently for a second extension. The extensions are full of various modules you can combine any way you like. A second and third extension, and also some smaller fourth and fifth extensions have come out with fewer modules that aren't in boxes. They're just in bags with punch boards in them. And this, the Clinic campaign book, which gives you kind of ways of introducing the various modules, because there are so many kind of mini expansions mixed into all of the Clinic stuff, baked into it. And how do you get started with the amount of stuff that's in here? I don't really know, but if you get the campaign book, it gives you thematic campaigns. So either the different kind of meeples, the different kind of patients, the different kind of materials that you can get are kind of grouped together. And okay, play scenario 1 with just helicopters. You know, the base game with helicopters. Then your next game, keep the helicopters but add ambulances. And then your third game, all of that and blood transfusions. So stacks them on top of each other. Then there is a medium campaign where Alban Viard, the designer, has grouped kind of his favourite sets of modules together that go really nicely. So a different meeple, patient, material, building, and variability module in each of those expansions. And then there is the expert campaign. So the expert campaign is what we're going to be doing, and I'm by no means an expert at this. It groups together expansions from all of them across the kind of spectrum of the boxes. So between, I think, the first and fourth extensions, some of the other ones I think reference the fifth extension, which is the only one I haven't got at the moment. I got the extensions because this did so well in the vote. I wasn't really expecting it to. And so, yes, I went out and bought the campaign book and the second and third extensions so we can do all of this. So the expert campaign has a big story towards it, groups of expansions to use, and then it will ask you to track certain things during your game. You know, when a player does this, put a tally mark on them. When a player does this, put a tally mark on them, and keep these things available for the end. And then at the end, don't pack the game right away, because it's going to ask you some questions about the game that you just played, and they are going to influence the next game in ways that you can read ahead and find out if you want that to influence the way you play the current game, or you can let it be a surprise for your future games. So yeah, we're gonna jump into the deep end here, because it's a heavy game as it is. It's adding a lot of little things. None of the modules in and of themselves are huge rules additions, but yeah, generally there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to be playing the first chapter of Clinic Campaign Book Expert Campaign Part 1, Chapter 1. All of this is made possible thanks to Patreon, patreon.com/slickerdrips, if you'd like to and are able to support what I do. And it's the only reason I'm able to be doing this. And we see videos early and vote on videos and stuff. It's the reason that Clinic is here, partly because I got that copy a few months ago, but it's been sitting around because I thought, do people want to see Clinic? Is it just me? Do I want to get these expansions? And it's like the second most voted for thing this month, after 1862. So starting off with the really heavy things. Oh, and yeah, if you would like to just tip me, it's ko-fi.com/slickerdrips. So in Clinic, we're running a clinic. We're running a hospital. This is our tiny hospital at the start of the game. We have, because we're playing the campaign, we've got extra modules turned on. I'll try and explain everything that is happening from all of those things. But yeah, we've got doctors working in the hospital. We've got we can just treat psychiatric patients at the very start of the game. We've got a gift shop that has to be in its own separate little section. Everyone that comes into your clinic has a car that has to be parked somewhere. You've got to make room for it. There is 3D building in Clinic. So this is our first floor. There is adjacency, not just orthogonally, I don't know what a term would be for it, up and down. So this treatment room here is adjacent to this space on the first floor, and you can build second and third floors in the base game. And if you have the expansion that allows it, a 4th floor, and then there's an expansion that adds a basement as well. Okay, it's just going to explode with complications. The first chapter includes 9 modules from across the spectrum of the first 3 extensions. So to play this part of the expert campaign anyway, you need the campaign book and the 3 extensions that I mentioned. But you could, if you didn't have those things, you could, I think, play it and just... you wouldn't be able to mark down having done the gift shop if you didn't have the gift shop module, for example. Well, the dogs. Right, there's a little glass Marty as well. He should be here all in the playthrough, shouldn't he? So in the expert campaign, it does include some story. The campaign does assume that you've already played and are familiar with these modules, which we definitely are, right? Who would jump into this for the first time? The entire campaign's for 1 to 4 players. You can play with easing the stress variants. I haven't seen any of that yet. You can look ahead if you want to see how your choices affect the thing. But yeah, you play the game. The tracking will ask us to keep track of certain things that happen during the game, and we get asked some questions at the end of the game. Did a player do this? Did a player do this? And it might have effects that go into a future game. So, Chapter 1, I'll read it in my best English accent. After paying and thanking the driver, you jam your umbrella out of the door of the taxi, opening it and stepping out of the cab onto its aegis in one swift choreographed move. The downpour is so intense that even the mist in the penumbra of your haven from the rain, oh dear, Fraser wrote this, is dampening your overcoat, but not your spirits. You stand there peering through the torrents of water from the grey sky, radiating pride and potential with such potency that a casual observer, aware of your situation, might think that the humid haze rising around you is steam. You have never seen such a beautiful plot of flat and soggy land, although admittedly, much of its appeal emanates from the future and what it might become. It's hard to believe that construction will start so soon, particularly when nary a sunbeam can peek through the dour blanket of clouds, but this does not quell your imagination. Finally, your dream of opening a family-oriented practice, offering every service modern medical science has to offer, teeters at the cusp of the present. Ready to dive into the river of opportunities this deluge seems to be forming. You will quash the despair of disease with curative expertise, and earn a living at the same time. Your plan is to start small, a little psychiatric clinic to provide mental therapy to families in need. So few people comprehend just how helpful a professionally trained ear can be for a child in distress, whether it's the rigours of school, the trauma of adolescence, the emotional slalom of discovering their gender identity in an unreceptive community, or behavioural problems with a psychological pathology. There are an incredible number of troubles that can be treated, or at least eased, through psychiatry. To start, a single genetic treatment room should suffice. Generic treatment room, that's what we've got. You have no patients, no reputation, no staff. You make a mental note to start interviewing nurses and orderlies, and maybe other doctors would be a good idea too. You'll need somewhere to store supplies so your patients aren't swimming in anxiety, feeling like they're telling their woes in a janitor's closet. Janitors probably need one of those too. As your practice grows, you can always add a treatment room specialised for youngsters. Visions of giraffe height charts on the walls sprout a wistful yet charmed smile under your nose, and a twinkle above it. You wonder how soon you can install an air conditioner, now that those are becoming more readily available. You hear that the summers in small city can get quite hot, and sometimes the quickest way to ease the mind is to comfort the body. Enough scatterbrain musing, you turn this way and that, finally looking for your hotel. It'll be nice to get a place of your own, but first things first, hoping that its sign will be sufficiently illuminated for you to see through the wet mesh of water pulled ever earthward. Once you are facing the right way, a sign winks at you, luring you to bed. Feeling soggy fabric starting to linger uncomfortably against your skin, you hasten toward that temptation, eager to dry off, review the local building codes, and check the floor plan again. As you had requested, the hotel has put you up in a room with a view on tomorrow's construction site, on floor 3 as it turns out. The chatty bellhop made sure that you were aware of your good fortune in getting a room in a high-rise in town centre. Some more games here. The local architects formed a labour union shortly after the manual labourers set the precedent, and they have the mayor's ear. The bellhop insinuated that nepotism was involved, but you sensed that the attendant's loquacity had meandered into conjecture, and your attention ebbed accordingly, lest you get mired in hearsay. The garrulous guide's gab grabs your focus once again, as worthy words wend their way to the forefront. The hotel was the first edifice built since the small city changed the anti-high-rise policies on construction in town centre. In fact, claimed the bellhop, the impetus for this change was to stimulate unprecedented growth in town centre, and thereby in greater small city. Despite its finite footprint, so specific restrictions were put in place to encourage construction of high-rises. Maybe we'll do a playthrough of Town Centre at some point. It's amazing. On the room's desk lay a slab of small city legal code, a newspaper, and a few sheets of paper near a sheaf of ballpoint pens. What a revolution for writing that invention will be once someone solves the flow issues with them. You doff your overcoat and hang it to dry, and shuck your soaked raiments, eager to get into dry and thus warmer clothing. Throughout this process, you keep glancing at the bound legal leaves lying languorously atop the comparatively frenetic and attention-hungry periodical. Once you have distributed your possessions to your satisfaction, segregating the sodden from the rest and each other so they can dry. This is added to the brain mail right now. All we're reading. You saunter to the desk, careful not to make eye contact with the exigent newspaper. You settle into the chair, grasping distractedly at the pens. After a perfunctory glance toward them, I saw the word gaze coming up and said glaze instead. Gaze locked on those laws. On the third twist of your wrist, you ensnare your inky prey and wheel it defensively into turning the cover page of the legal codes. I do like the alliteration, but now I've got it into my head that it's just, especially with the focus on psychiatry, that we're basically Frasier in this. We're basically Frasier Crane building this hospital. Pages turn as easily as a second hand circles a clock face, and soon enough you are jotting notes on restrictions that will affect the architecture of your fledgling facility, both now and as it develops. Like a prospector in the gold rush, your patient efforts panning this stream of text for gold, has resulted in a collection of tiny but valuable tidbits drying on a sheet. It seems the bellhop was correct, at least about the less speculative details. A recent ordinance has lifted the 2-story maximum on structures built in town centre. Moreover, in order to encourage more efficient utilisation of land, each floor of a building is limited to housing a single business. Furthermore, any business that spans multiple floors must subdivide the services they offer and provide one service per floor. This is kind of the rules of clinic kind of laid out in the story. Moreover, to encourage more efficient use... Furthermore, any business that spans multiple floors must subdivide the things they offer. It sounds cockamamie, yet you long for the day that it becomes relevant to your little clinic. Regardless, you intend for it to become relevant, and you should plan accordingly right out of the gate. Eureka, you exclaim as you find the articles of Architects Union, feeling a little proud of yourself for such a literal use of the famous Greek exclamation. Frasier would definitely exclaim Eureka. The law stipulates that all construction must be designed by a union architect, no real surprise there, and that the architect's design must be respected as a minimum. How very interesting. It seems you can take liberties constructing beyond the architect's design, as long as you do not subtract anything beyond the initial specification. You're enthralled as you learn the laws governing selecting and contracting an architect as well. After presenting your proposal to the union, they select 3 architects through a fair process determined by the members of the union. Each architect then drafts a minimum design that can support future expansion. You must select a design and thus an architect. The union will then choose the builders and oversee construction on your behalf. Fascinatingly, the punitive actions allowed for violating the chosen design are a veritable slap on the wrist, but getting on a union's bad side can't be good for your local popularity. Through all your research, you ascertain that there are no explicit restrictions against dogs in medical facilities, which is a relief. As far as you can tell, nothing stands in the way of your innovative practice of canine company consoling and comforting clients. You remain a little worried that you'll get run out of town by some fanatical group once word gets out. History documents plenty of cases of people ahead of their time getting mistreated and ostracised, only to miss seeing their scientific assertions being commonplace, completely normal and fully assumed just decades, or in some cases centuries later. Still, you are confident of the benefits, convinced by Florence Nightingale's animal-assisted therapy idea, may she rest in peace, and you are in contact with an inexpensive canine academy, whose program seems well suited to this purpose. Satisfied you have successfully milked the choirs of legalese, you pause to muse about how apt this term is, and resolve to start using it in conversation. Perhaps you will be remembered for coining it. To quench your query's thirst, you make one definitive horizontal stroke of the pen beneath the findings on your page of notations, and then title the implied section below it, Next Steps. Your thoughts of child psychiatry step effortlessly into pediatrics, so you jot that as the first item of the list. After pediatrics, it seems only natural to welcome the sources of those patients, the mothers themselves. You add obstetrics to the list. Babies always draw visitors in a celebratory mood, so perhaps we could garner a little more profit through providing convenience to spendthrift guests at slightly higher prices than usual. You write gift shop, then tap the pen pensively for countless moments, considering the possibility of applying your imminent business experience down the road, both figuratively and literally, to spin this concept off as a standalone convenience market to serve the denizens of the dense town centre. Snapping your train of thought back on track, you inhale sharply, sit upright, and add an asterisk beside gift shop to remind you of this idea in a neater way. You add a footnote about this convenience market notion, something to return to a little later in life. Suddenly you recall the human element of the business and start another list in a second column. After fighting a bit with the pen to get the ink flowing again, you write staff to start the new list. You will eventually need more doctors, so doctors start the list, followed by nurses and orderlies. Next you add janitors, while your attention scurries down a rabbit hole, wondering if you could find a janitor with expertise in modern conveyance, such as the electric elevators that seem to be inspiring so much high-rise construction. The momentary distraction buys the newspaper just enough time to secure your attention. Curiosity finally triumphs. You lay the pen on your notes and decisively slide the paper raft and its passenger away from you to make room to open the newspaper comfortably. Just as you reach for the newspaper, you see the pen start to drool ink onto your notes. Cursing, you lunge for the pen, scoop it up, and deposit it in the quiver with its brethren. You eye the inky ooze on a page with suspicion, as if it were scheming away onto your sleeve. Ultimately, you decide that you had pushed it far enough away to be no danger. Again, you reach for the newspaper to see what current events may affect your new clinic. Whew. Okay. There we go. There's our story to set us up. Yeah, part of the puzzle in this game, it's not just building a hospital in 3D. Everyone needs cars. Everyone needs space to put those cars. You've got to build entrances. You've got to build elevators. You've got to build conveyor belts, corridors and things, gardens, helipads. Well, you haven't got to build all of those things, but it helps. I've knocked all these over with the book as well, unfortunately. So what that comes down to is, it's all a fancy way of saying that we will be playing with the expansions: urban design, janitors, obstetrics, pediatrics, events, therapy dogs, gift shop, air conditioners, and urban design 2.0. Each of them add a bit to the game, but not a ton. So yeah, we'll get through this, right? So briefly, what does each of them do? So Urban Design and Urban Design 2.0 is all about these blueprint cards. You get an easy, medium, and hard one in the normal module. I've gone for the easy one. They basically tell you a minimum requirement, as the story was explaining, that we must build our hospital to. So we must have, it wants us to have 3 separate L-shaped buildings, if we can. Now, I did just go on kind of the basic setup for the game. You can, if you're an expert, set up the game as much as you like, any configuration that you like to, obeying the normal restrictions of rooms. But I did just go with the draw a cube out of a bag and set it up that way. You can build more than this, though. So it's not that you have to have 3 separate L buildings. But yeah, that's your minimum. If you do it, you'll score 4 points. If you don't do it, you'll lose 2 points. Obviously, the harder the blueprint you choose, the more there is to win or lose at the end of the game. But that would require us to go up to floor 4, that one. Well, floor 3, isn't it? Because this one's 0. This is your ground floor. The Urban Design 2.0 added more blueprints to kind of be shuffled in. And the 2.0 blueprints that thankfully I didn't draw restrict you to 1 floor of your hospital. You do get to bend the rules a little bit and be some things that you can only have 1 on each floor. You're allowed to bend those rules. But yeah, we didn't get one of those, thankfully. The janitors, you can hire janitors in the game. Now, they will help you move elevators and escalators around that you can build in the normal game anyway. They move them around, and there is now maintenance for them, which janitors reduce. Obstetrics, there are pregnant ladies that can come into the hospital. We kind of decide, though, if they come in and around or not, and if you have the right rooms to treat them in, then you'll get money from those. They need to be in. There isn't a specific area of medicine that you need to build, a specific field, but they need to be in a treatment room with 2 doctors, with a white and a yellow. The colours determine kind of their level of expertise from white to red, and then they can get treated. The pediatrics, there is a new level of, there is a new type of medicine. There is a new field that we can build a treatment room for. This is an overlay to the main board, because usually in a solo game, you only have psychiatry and cardiac. But now we have pediatrics as well. So if you build that and the proper pediatric treatment room, then yeah, you can deliver babies if they come out, and one has come out, so perhaps we should go for that. Events. There's going to be an event every round. Good and bad things. We see the first two, and at the end of every round, we'll kind of reveal one, so you'll see what's coming up for the next couple of rounds. So they're all shuffled up. Therapy dogs can be hired when you admit psychiatric patients, and they will kind of act as a nurse just to that patient. But they poo. There are poo discs that they will leave about the hospital for every room that they went in, because everyone moving about and the time that it takes them to move about is a consideration for the puzzle of the game. As the story mentioned, the babies will attract visitors. We now have this home board. We will attract up to 3 visitors per round based on our popularity. The more points we've scored, the more will come to us every round. They will have cars just like our staff and patients have that we need to put somewhere. But they will travel to a different patient each, starting in the gift shop. So they are going to roam around. We will make money from that, but that takes time as well. So that's something we have to worry about. And your gift shop has to be in a separate building to the rest of your hospital. You can never join these buildings up either. So we're going to want to build corridors at some point. Air conditioners are something that you can build in these entrance slots all around the outside, apart from on the north side of your hospital. You can build entrances, but you can also build an air conditioner instead, 1 per floor. It doubles the maintenance costs of a room that's next to it, but it also gives you a popularity for every patient on that floor. We've got a few things to keep track of. For game 1, it asks me to track if every patient in your clinic received a visitor this phase. Put a tally mark in your column. For every pregnant woman you successfully treat, put a tally mark in your column. For each baby you successfully treat, make a tally mark in your column. Leave the final event card where it is, and before you put anything away, look at the post-game assessment sheet and fill that in. So I'm not going to look at it for now because, yeah, there's enough going on without worrying about what the game's going to kind of specifically expect of me. Oh, it was so neat. Let's just go for it. So we have one thing to decide. I've already decided on the blueprint. We have a choice of 2 bonus tiles in the game. Would I like to start with a doctor with a bit more expertise? So instead of being white level, they would be yellow level. This concerns kind of the patients that they treat. Remember, if we want to treat a pregnant patient, if we want to do obstetrics, we can do that. If we could get a yellow and then hire another doctor, that is something that's possible. Or we could get an orderly for free. Orderlies are required actually for delivering babies, but also in their normal function in the base game is that they lower the maintenance costs of your building. So I'm tempted to do that, but we have got very kind of difficult patients at the moment to treat, and we've got to build all of these things. So now in the university, there aren't any better doctors available. So perhaps I can build the 2 special modules available. In a solo game, you shuffle them all up and you've only got 2. So we've got the building that, when you've worked out how much time everyone's spending in a round, you subtract 3. So that's going to help us spend less time. Time spent is negative points at the end of the game. We have got the lab, though, that will upgrade our doctors 2 steps. We can put a doctor in there, and at the end of the round, we will earn a popularity, a point, and they will upgrade 2 levels as well. There are very difficult patients out there, though. And yeah, as Mark says, we can hire an orderly. There are only 2 in the game, though. It would be a 3rd one. But I think, yeah, if there were doctors available to hire with some more expertise, this is all random from a bag, by the way, the patients and the doctors. If there were different doctors available, I might go for the orderly, but yeah, I think upgrade our starting doctor to yellow, and that's not going to be permanent. They will deteriorate a lot, every round in fact. So we now, in a round, get 3 actions. There are 3 different actions. You can perform, the combinations and the order that you like, but you can only do each action twice at the most in a round. So you can build, you can hire, and you can admit new patients. Those are your 3 options. So if we can treat kind of an orange patient. We are set up with our starting hospital to treat psychiatric patients. They are orange though, which is a step a step above our yellow doctor's pay grade. So to be able to treat an orange patient, you can hire a nurse in the game. Nurses kind of bump doctors up by a level. You can have as many nurses in a room with a doctor as you like. So that could be a way of getting some good starting money, but we can only hire one nurse. So if we hire a nurse, we're not going to be doing pediatrics. More might come out though. More babies might come out. We're not going to attract any visitors until we get 15 points. So I'm not worried too much right now about building fast travel from the gift shop to the main hospital. I will be concerned about that later. Just we do need to hire. And when you're hiring, you can hire a doctor or a janitor. They're one kind of group of staff. And or a nurse or an orderly. So you don't have to do the two groups. One or the other. It's up to you. But yeah, we can't hire two nurses this round. In a solo game, there is one nurse available per round. If we're gonna be treating more patients, I'd want to hire another doctor. Like if we want to treat the orange patient, I already need a nurse to bump their level up. You don't have to treat them this round, but if you don't treat them this round, they'll get worse. In which case I would need a red doctor next time, which I could get if I built the special module. Put this doctor in training, it would be a red doctor next time. We would be able to treat the most difficult psychiatric. Or I don't really need a nurse for the psychiatric patient because we've got these therapy dogs. A module for this level. When you admit a psychiatric patient, you can pay $1 and hire a therapy animal to help them out, and they kind of act as a private nurse for that patient. So that could be something to do, and I could hire a nurse. I would need a nurse and an orderly to be able to deliver a baby. But yeah, to be able to admit more patients at once, you need more queue points. How do you get more queue points? Building more entrances. So we're going to have to, I think we should do a build action before anything else, and then we might change our minds. There might be other things out here that might make us decide different things. Hey, Stefan, it's complicated. Yes, so my first action is going to be build. Let's build some things. What can you build? All of this. You can build service hubs. This is how you can treat patients with different needs, patients of these different specialties. You can only have one on each floor. They can't be adjacent to each other. Adjacent in this game is in 3 dimensions as well. So remember saying like, this psychiatry is adjacent to this space, so I wouldn't be able to have a different service hub on this space. I kind of want one of those if I want to be able to do pediatrics. Treatment rooms are where you can treat that type of service, that patients from that service. When you build a treatment room, you can immediately build a supply room as well. It's kind of a chain that you need like together. A service hub has to be adjacent to a treatment room on the same floor. The treatment room also needs to be adjacent to a supply room, but not necessarily on the same floor. So a thing that you can do is put your treatment room on the same space, a floor above another supply room, then it's connected and it's all fine and it'll work. But you do get to build one at the same time without spending one of your 2 build points. Special modules, or you can build 1 per round in this, and usually in a multiplayer game there'd be piles of all the ones available. But in a solo game, we've just got the option of these 2. Reduce the amount of time we will spend when everyone moves around, or be able to train our doctors. And then you can build gardens, earn more money when you treat patients because they're happier at what they're looking at. Helipad, it's another entrance to your hospital that comes in from the top. An entrance comes on the ground floor somewhere. Conveyor belts is kind of fast travel. People can move up or down or orthogonally in a particular direction without having to spend any time. And parking, everyone that comes into the hospital brings a car and they have to be placed on these spaces, blocking off that space from being built on. But if we build some parking, they can go, it's 2 cars kind of in the middle of a space rather than on all of these edges. And it would help to get them, your first entrance has to go on this side. It would help to get them kind of right into the treatment room where I want them to go, would be a thing to do. The cost for building things depends on the floor that it goes on. Building a supply room on the bottom floor costs nothing. Building anything else costs $2. There is a misprint on this. You can't have a helipad on the ground floor. Other than that, everything costs $2. So I start off with 15. I could start off putting an entrance down, and then I can do a bit more manipulation with the patients. But I don't think I've got enough time to kind of treat them all in this go around. I would like a nurse so that I can treat more people, but I can only hire one. It depends what comes out of the bag, really. Yeah, let's put an entrance in, so that's going to cost 2. And then I would like to build towards, building a service hub, being able to do pediatrics, but they might not come out of the bag in a future round. That's why, I'd really like to do them this round, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Oh, I'm not thinking about the event here. This was going to influence my starting thing, because the first event here, for the first round, one of your doctors levels up 2 levels. So the white would actually become orange, and there would be no point taking that as the starting game bonus. We're taking orderly instead. So we can just treat that patient without having to worry about anything. And more patients will come around after every action. So we can see what we can treat then. I'd like to get a lab, train them. I would like to make everything cost less time. So with 3 actions, we'll just have to hope more babies come out next time. Because I could, if I spent both of my builds doing a pediatric service hub and a treatment room, then I would be able to, hire the nurse that I need. Then I could admit the baby, and that's all I would treat this round. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that and do anything else. I need to make use of my doctors because they will deteriorate through rounds. So I'll do a new entrance, which will help me out later as well. The conveyor will help, and I could hire a janitor to help me out with the conveyor as well. But I don't really need that until we have multiple floors. We're not in the best position of the treatment room to have a garden in there. Parking would be nice to get in this early, but we could do air conditioning. Air conditioning costs $2, and we get extra popularity for the patients being in here. It's just more upkeep for the building then. I think everyone coming into the hospital is going to take time. I'm going to build this special module in my off-site building here, since nobody really needs to go to it. Make everything take a bit less time. So that costs $2 as well. So I've spent 4 in total, and that's the build action. After every action, we admit new patients. So the way this works is, you draw a cube for the normal types, and if it happens to be a baby, it goes up onto this row instead. So there is an easy to treat psychiatric patient, and easier to treat cardiac patient as well. Oh yeah, new patient schedule appointments. For the psychiatric service, add 2 patients rather than 1. That's part of the therapy dogs. So they should both be psychiatric patients. And then we can add another patient here. It's not a baby. Well, there is cardiac. We're not going to be able to treat the cardiac patients, unfortunately. So we're not going to have enough builds. But we could be in a position, I think, to be able to treat both psychiatric patients. Would I be right in thinking that? Because we could hire a doctor. We can hire just a white doctor. We can build multiple treatment rooms. But yeah, we can have 2 doctors and 2 patients in here, can't we? Then any number of nurses that we need to boost them up. So I think the second action could be to hire. So when you're hiring, we're just looking at this bit. We have got the janitors as well. But I haven't built any conveyors yet, so not really inclined to hire a janitor. You can do that instead of hiring a doctor. I think I'm going to hire the cheapest doctor. Usually the expertise of the doctor might play into your decision, but only the white ones came out of the bag, so it didn't matter. So for $2, I can hire that doctor. Now, there is staffing costs to all of these people. Do I want to hire a nurse just so I've got a nurse for the future? I don't think I'm going to have any need of a nurse. And then, yeah, with the staffing costs, since they're necessary as well for pediatrics, and there's kind of a finite number, I want to hire a nurse. So that's going to be another $2. But we mustn't forget that everyone, including the orderly that I got for free at the start of the game, everyone has a price. And that price in clinic is cars. Everyone brings their cars, and you've got to have space to park them. Otherwise, the game's going to fall over. So, yeah, for now, that's everyone's cars. And then I'm going to have 2 patient cars, but at least they will get treated and go away. Probably have to build some parking next time. So that's my hire. I did a doctor and a nurse rather than another orderly. Another orderly's going to help. Then we need to do, from the bag again, 2 psychiatric because of the therapy dogs, but there's only 1 space, so we can't fill in any more there. And then 1 for cardiac, and that's not a pink one, so it just goes in that row. Okay, and for the third action, I'm going to admit patients then, so we can get something going. I should be able to admit a couple of patients this time, I think. These are all people queuing up to get into the hospital when it's time. So, you have queue points to admit patients with. Your queue points is equal to the number... It's 1 plus the number of entrances and helipads. I didn't really need an entrance when I built things. It did make things faster. So I've got 2 entrances plus 1. I've got 3 queue points. With a queue point, you can either move a patient orthogonally. If there's someone where they're moving, they just swap around. Or you can admit someone from the rightmost space of the notepad. So I could admit 3 patients, and then a patient would get worse for next round, but then I would still have the doctor to treat them. I think that's okay, and it might save a trip to admissions next time. So when you admit, they go into the pre-admissions section for their, field that they need to be seen by. Everything shuffles along, and then I can admit the next one with another queue point. Everything shuffles along. I can admit the next one with another queue point. Right? I'm not going to be able to treat all 3 this round, but it'll be okay. So the main actions, I've had my 3 for the round. We top up the patients once more. So 2 for psychiatry because of the module, 1 for cardiac. I do kind of wish I had the air conditioning next time, maybe. But now we've got to deal with movement. Everyone has to be in the right place. So we've admitted these patients as well. They've all got cars. It'll be okay for now. It'll be okay for now. Don't worry too much. How does my building want to be here as well? That's fine. That's exactly how the building wants to be. Well done, you. So the doctors and the patients want to be in this treatment room. The nurse doesn't really need to be anywhere. The nurse can be in there, though. The orderly wants to be in the supply room. The orderly will decrease the maintenance costs of rooms. These buildings nobody needs to go to yet, so we don't have to worry about them. It tells you here what takes time. So everyone starts at an entrance. It costs the time to move from an entrance to a room, or a helipad to a room. It costs to move between rooms if you're going up or just across. It's a time each. It is free to go to outpatients. That's not going to be in this game. It's free to exit the hospital, and it's free to move between conveyors if you've built them. And you get -3 to your total time if you've built my lovely express room, which I have. But for now, we're going to have to work out the time taken. So my doctors want to be in here. They're all queued up on the entrance. So that costs 1 time to be in there. Patients go onto entrances and then go into the rooms. So 1 time, 2 times, but it is the right doctor for the right patient. 3 time, 4 time, 5, 6 time for the orderly to be in the right place. And then the nurse needs to be somewhere, right? 7 time, minus the 3 for there, means I've spent 4 time, so I've lost a point. So it could be a lot worse. Then we come to the business section. Phase 2, business, over here. We treat the patients. Patients are treated if they are in the right place for their condition and they have an appropriate doctor to treat them. So the same colour, basically. The nurses, not necessary in this case, so I didn't hire a therapy dog either. The nurses will adjust the doctors kind of by 1 level. So it can kind of add to their expertise. But if I had a red doctor trying to treat an orange patient, it would still need a nurse for that gap in colour, basically. And you can have multiple nurses. You can have as many nurses as you like in one treatment room to adjust it to what you need exactly. So in terms of treated patients, we've got treated patients. An orange treated patient will earn you $20. A white treated patient will earn you $8. Each patient will earn 2 extra if they can see a garden from where they are. So if it's adjacent, if it's orthogonally adjacent to where their room is. And if you can treat them in an outpatient's room as well, in that case, they always earn you 6 no matter what colour they were. But yeah, outpatient hasn't come out for this game. So I can treat both of these patients. So these go out of the game now. They've been treated. I earn myself my $28. The money that you earn this round goes here. So this is my savings, my leftover money from the round. The money you earn this round goes underneath, and you'll see why in a minute. The patients are happy, they go home and take their cards with them. Then we have expenses. So your expenses are staff, including your doctors, your orderlies, your nurses, and then your rooms. So my staff expenses, an orange doctor is $3, white doctor is $1, so 4, nurse 5, orderly 6. Then your rooms are all $1 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, $5. But every orderly that's working in a supply room reduces that total by 3. So instead of 5, it's only 2. So I have made $20 for the next round, which is decent. At this point, you decide how many points you want to buy. Each point is $3. You have to buy it from this available money. Everything left over will go into your savings, and you can buy new rooms with it. You can build new parts of your hospital. You can hire new people with it. But do we want points? So we need to get to 15 popularity before visitors start showing up with gifts, and we do earn money from that as well. I feel like I should get a few points, even if I only buy 3 points with my 9 money. Yeah, I think I'll buy 3 popularity. We have only got 6 rounds to do all of this with, but then I'm going in with a bit more money than I had last time. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I need to get air conditioning built basically as well, so I can get extra popularity from that. Should possibly have done that instead of the entrance, but we'll see. Then we have administration, so actions go back to 1, the round moves down to 2. All of the patients in this column go back to the bag, so you might have wanted to do some adjustment rather than admitting certain people. And then everything slides along. Level up the doctors, so all the doctors still in the university level up from the supply. So white becomes yellow to hire. Draw doctors from the bag. So I can decide now that the starting player decides with the obstetrics module, would we like a pregnant lady to be in the hospital, kind of taking up the space of a doctor in the university. So instead of hiring a doctor, you admit a pregnant woman to be treated. I don't know that we should do that, just because our treatment room is about to be set on fire in a minute, and we're going to have to build another one. I think we should wait on that. We can admit them kind of every round, I think. And you do get, it's $10 for treating a pregnant lady. She needs a yellow and a white doctor. No, we won't this time. It'll just be another doctor from the bag. So that's going to be yellow. And arrange them by their colour. So more experience, more expensive. Remove the round's nurses. If you didn't hire the nurse, go away. Level up to any doctors in labs twice. Haven't got any just yet. Regular doctors, decrease. So my orange now becomes yellow. Can't go any further down than white. Any patients on your playboards that weren't treated, worsen. So we go from white to yellow. But that's why I thought that would kind of be okay. I've now got yellow patient, yellow doctor. I thought that would kind of work out. Don't need to reset that. Don't need to reset turn order. But we do need to reveal the next round's event. And then I need my... So the event for this round I know is arson. So it's going to be a treatment room of your choice is going to be destroyed and any patients in it die. So yeah, if you moved patients in there, make sure that they were handled. So the event for round 3 is heart attack. One of your white patients becomes red. The one thing I'm not clear about, that says immediate for round 3. The rules in the second extension don't say exactly when that happens. So is it like the first white patient I admit turns red? We'll say that. We'll admit the thing that makes it hardest, I'm going to say, is what's actually happening. I think that's all of the admin. And we go back to actions. So we've got the same choice as before, but we need to, all of the doctors go out, so this is going to cost us time now. Those doctors were in that treatment room ready. The treatment room is destroyed. I'm basically going to do a build action, though, first. One of the builds, put that treatment room back, so that's going to cost me 2. We're not near people from the gift shop arriving. We haven't had, so we've got cardiac patients, but we haven't had any more babies, and we might not from the bag just yet. I might set us up to start doing cardiac patients. Well, I have just done a build, so anything's going to take some time. Because I can build this, it has to be on a separate floor, which means if I did want to do pediatrics later, it's going to have to be on the roof, which is going to be even more difficult. And then, oh, there's one on the board for admin. And then, I like it as text though. Yeah, wasting one of my builds on the treatment room is a bit of a problem. We can still admit cardiac patients, but we wouldn't be able to hire new doctors to kind of do things. The events, I don't really like events in any game, to be honest. Even though you can see it coming. Maybe I should have built a treatment room as well, to just have one that I wasn't bothered about go. So I'm just very aware if I put all of my efforts into making pediatrics on the first floor here, the babies might not come out of the back for ages, and then you're not treating anyone. I can admit both of those psychiatric patients, and I could hire another doctor, and then the nurse would bring their level down. It's just that I'd only be earning 28 again, which I suppose it's something, isn't it? It's better than nothing. I have another treatment room there. I will need some parking space, yeah, but I don't know how many people I'm going to be hiring, really. And we're just going to have to take it slow this round, just because of building up the treatment room again. Let's just get some parking then. So you build just a size 2 parking, put it down here, and you can put cars straight into it. So that's going to cost me $2, and so did the treatment room. I've already paid for the treatment room, though. So that's a build, and then new patients come out. So we've got 2 for psychiatry, 1, 2... and 1 for cardiac. So no pediatrics. So if I could have built another treatment room for psychiatry, you could be admitting loads of patients. Kind of build that up for next time. So I can still admit 3 new patients, and then that's the limit of my pre-admissions. It would be full. But then I wouldn't need to admit them next time. Yeah, I could just admit the psychiatry patients. My build could just be... It could be another treatment room down here. But that's possibly doing too much psychiatry. It could be a lab, and get doctors trained up for next time to be able to take on harder patients. And you could even build the heart section above here. Do you want something on the floor here for the type of building we're building? The doctors are going to be better next time as well if I leave them in the university. I'm going to build again, and let's get ready to do something better. So if we're going to do cardiac, it can't be above another service hub. They can't be adjacent, which is a bit of a shame and makes things a bit trickier. So that's one build, and then your second build is a treatment room, which is adjacent to a supply room, so it works. But you can, for free, build a supply room. And if I built a supply room, I could hire another orderly next time. But then that's another $1 to pay if you do that. I don't think I'll have another supply just yet, because they are already rooms that are costing me money and not earning anything. We need new patients, but we can't actually admit anyone. So, no new patients. I'm going to admit then, and yeah, let's just do the same thing again. Admit the 3 psychiatry, and same again. 1, 2, 3. At least the orderly doesn't need to move. 3, 4, 5. Oh, at least the nurse and the doctor combination can treat the yellow, which is good. So it's 5 movement minus the 3. We only spend 2 time. We are treating 2 yellow patients, which is 12 each, so 24. I haven't done their cars, have I? I need 1 more car, because technically I should have added more, but these 2 are going straight away, so it'll be okay. So they've been treated and they're happy. Doctor costs 2, 3, well, just staff costs 2, 3, 4, 5. And then rooms 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Minus 3, so a total cost of 9. So I've got 15 to be able to buy points with. I do have kind of 14 in reserves. I probably will hire next time, but I think I'll buy 4 points this time. Yeah, I'll spend 12. 4 points, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on 7 points. It's not too bad. Buy the points. Yep. So I didn't move the markers along, did I, either? Oh, I should have. After I admitted patients as my final action, we should have had 2 new psychiatry patients because I made space for them. So move that round to round 3. The doctors at the university get better. Oh, new doctors for the university. It's already full. Then the nurses, doctors in labs go up. Regular doctors go down. So unfortunately, I've just got 2 interns. And then patients that were not treated go up. Service tiles and player order we don't need to do, but we do need to reveal a new event for the round after next. And that event is going to be staffing shortage. Nurses and orderlies cost 50% more rounded up to hire in round 4. But in round 3, kind of like immediate, one of your white patients becomes red. Like, when does that come into effect? Because it doesn't say. It says during the admin phase, you reveal the next one. That's all. That's clear. But yeah, when does the event itself happen? Because I haven't got a white patient, and you couldn't have a white one, could you? Because even if you had a white patient from a previous round, it would have already leveled up. So I assume it means if I admit a white one, it immediately becomes red. I'm not really sure on that. So that's the heart attack event anyway. So new actions for the new round. So we're kind of set up now. We want to take in cardiac patients. Oh, I didn't put these patients back in the bag, did I? And slide them along. So I do kind of want to admit patients. I want to hire, though, for sure. I'm going to need a nurse. Now, a nurse in there could treat these 2 yellow psychiatry patients, or even just admit a psychiatry patient with a therapy dog. But the therapy dogs are only temporary. You do get popularity. I'm tempted to put a helipad on top of that treatment room as well, just so it's easier to get to. Because I can now build, my conveyors and make it faster to get around the hospital. Yeah, maybe we want to start the conveyor system. Just that building it, I want it to be connected to a supply room, didn't I? As if what I probably should have done is maybe built it like that, so patients could come in and then go up for free. But then you would have wanted to build the free supply room. Yeah, take backs, why not? It's solo. It would cost 2 to build the supply room, and it would have been 1 extra expense to upkeep it. So if I did it that way around, that would be better, wouldn't it? Because then I can build a conveyor now on this round, and it just costs 1 to get to either treatment room, because it's free to travel between the conveyors. You know what I mean? What else do we want to build? We can build another car park. We can build a garden to try and make it nicer. Although, yeah, I did just do it randomly from drawing it, but the treatment room being there isn't really ideal to have the garden next to the treatments. Maybe air conditioning. If I'm gonna have at least 2 patients down here. It's just every patient you treat. Air conditioning is in the 3rd rulebook. Before they worsen, every patient still there earns you a popularity. So you want the patients kind of waiting around on that floor. Earning you points, though. They're getting worse, but they're earning you points. I think we've got a lot of room for cars in this round. I mean, it will soon fill up, for sure. We are about to take on more patients and more doctors. There are going to be cardiology left over. I'm going to build air conditioning. How many cardiology are going to... I think there's going to be 2 cardiology left over. I'm going to build an air conditioner up here. So this is an expansion. They go in the same place that an entrance would go. Just they can go on different floors, whereas obviously entrances can't. They cost 2. Yeah, every patient that's still on that floor before they worsen is going to earn you a point of popularity, because they're more comfortable in there now. You can only have 1 per floor. So that's my 2 builds. So new patients come in. So 2. Ooh. Unfortunately, we are not geared up for pediatrics. But there will at least be 1 for next round. Because the tracker for the scenario does ask how often we treated babies. And we want 15 popularity ideally, so that we can start getting visitors coming with gifts that will earn us money, which we can buy points with. I do want to hire new doctors no matter what happens, really. I don't have to hire a nurse. I would like a janitor, because there is upkeep involved in the elevators now, and they make that cheaper, and they can move your conveyors around. But for now, I need a doctor to be able to do anything cardio-wise, so that's going to be 2. And then a nurse for 3, and they do get more expensive to hire as well if you're leaving them till later. We don't particularly need a nurse right now. Nurses are going to be so helpful later on, though, if you've got them around. We're going to try and keep the costs down. We're going to hire an orderly for 1, and a therapy dog when we can't, because you hire them when they're admitted. So no, we're going to need a nurse. So that's 3. Yeah, so that was hiring. And then admitting... 2 more in psychiatry. Admitting is going to be the last action. So still got 2 entrances plus the 1. So 3 admission units. We have got an orange doctor, so taking in an orange heart patient is fine. I think, yeah, we might need a nurse to move around, but we'll take in all cardiacs so that we get the maximum popularity from our air conditioners. Yeah, so that's going to be admitting. And then can't put any psychiatric patients in, but we can put a cardiac in. It's an urgent patient. And then for moving around, these doctors are now in here. So we don't have to worry. Which means, so this doctor has to go into the hospital, which is one time, but then the conveyor is free. So that's just one time. The nurse goes in, 2 time. Oh, we need 3 more cars for the new patients. That's not on that car parking space. Oh, I'm destroying my hospital. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a free conveyor. And so the nurses bump the doctors up to yellow to be able to treat these patients. I guess the patient needs to be in the room, though, don't they? To benefit from the air conditioning. They're kind of in pre-admissions at the moment. Let's just move this patient in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 time is all that we've spent. Couldn't hire an orderly, unfortunately. -3 means we've only spent 1 time this round. And then we've treated. An orange is 20. 2 yellows is 24, so 44 this round. Staffing costs, still no gardens or anything to boost that money. Staffing costs are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just pay that. Room costs are 2, 4, 6, 8, -3 for the orderly. So that's 5 in total. Would love another orderly. If you have any conveyors, you must pay to maintain the conveyor network. The cost depends on the highest floor in which you have built among all of your buildings, and then the number of buildings that can treat patients. So, floor number 1, I've got 1 building that can treat patients. So my maintenance for the elevators, escalators, conveyors, is 2. I haven't got as much in savings anymore. I am going to get a popularity for that patient still being on a floor with air conditioning. We need to clear these out along with 3 cars. Have I got the right number now? 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope. I don't think I got a new car for the doctor or the nurse, one of them. We could buy 5 points. That would put me up to 13 in total. I'm just trying to think now of the patients that are coming in are a bit more severe. And without the lab, my staff might not be equipped to do it. And I haven't got a lab now, so even if I get one next time, it's going to be the round after that by the time they're trained. You can always hire people from the university, of course. I'm left with all these doctors that need loads of nurses supporting them. But when I admit more psychiatric patients, I can admit them with the therapy dogs. To get to 15 points, I'm going to have to buy 7. So that would leave me with 8. And I would have 13 money. And we just have to make it work. And then we get a visitor next time. But the build is just going to be for conveyors. It'll be fine. Yeah. Buy 7 points. And then the one we get from the air conditioning. Oh, the air conditioning should make that room 1 more expensive, actually. So I should have paid 1 more in maintenance. It doubles the maintenance cost of a room. So then, round changes. Doctors at the university level up. So we've got a very experienced doctor there now. Do we want to admit a pregnant patient? You do use your hire to bring them in, but the scenario does want us to do that. I don't know if we're ever going to get to pediatrics, but I think, yeah, let's do that next round. So they go into the university place, and then I make sure I'm doing all the rules on that right. Yeah, so you decide if they're going to come in. Instead of hiring, you rush a pregnant woman from the university to an entrance. There's no cost to do this, and you gain a popularity for doing it. They bring the car in. You can treat a pregnant woman in a treatment room. She requires a white doctor and a yellow doctor. So it kind of takes up the treatment room, but I could build another treatment room. Right, so yeah, we'll do that. Nurse goes away, but we did hire a nurse. Doctors in the lab go up. Doctors not in the lab go down. So this orange becomes yellow. And the patient shouldn't be there anymore. Oh no, that patient was waiting from before, weren't they? Patients worsen. So that's when I get my point from the patient enjoying the air conditioning. Oh, and then the patients worsen. So white becomes yellow. Yellow becomes orange. That might be a problem. No one's died though. We don't need to do turn order again, but we do need to reveal a future event, which is going to be turn order changes, which in a solo game, yeah, good for you, game. Okay, I should look up the gift shop, because now we're going to get visitors. Now we've got 15. So when we get to the move phase, we work out how many visitors are coming in. It's going to be 1. They're going to bring a car. They go to an entrance. And they're going to... Oh, should I have gotten a free... Oh, no, I do not get a free entrance to the gift shop. They're going to get teleported to an entrance, and then they're going to go from the gift shop to a patient. So if they come into this entrance, they're going to basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times to visit someone. So I need to build another entrance and probably conveyors to get them about quicker. They're going to earn me money, but yikes. And then their cars are coming in. I've still only got 3 actions to do all of this. Try and make it work. Right, that's all of the admin. Oh, we need to get rid of these patients back to the bag too. So a new cardiac patient is probably not in our future. We could, of course, just move all of these doctors up. There would be a nurse available. Maybe we do 2 hires, but I need to do builds. We've got to do a build. The way that I have put conveyors is not great. So I will be able to admit more patients in one go like this. I need to build an entrance so that the visitor can come to this entrance rather than here and then move a million times. So that's $2. That does give me more queue points to be able to admit more patients. And then building more conveyors, you have to expand your current network. So all I would be able to do is that. So walking there would be free now, which costs me 2. I'm going to have to do another build action. New patients come out. So it's just going to be 1 for psychiatry, which happens to be a baby. And then 1 for heart. We might have to not admit, just admit the pregnant patient, because we're going to have to build again. Got to at least put the gift shop so far away. It had to be a separate building, but I put it so far away looking back now. That's another 2 to expand that conveyor. I'm not going to be able to hire that doctor. Can maybe hire a nurse. And maybe we want another floor eventually. We want this to be an L for the blueprint. We want L's here as well. Yeah, let's work on that. No, we won't work on that. We'll build another car park because, not an upgraded one. Just a standard 2-space one. You can upgrade them later to 3 spaces should you need it. So that's another build action. So more patients come in. Can only fit 1 in psychiatry. And then in cardiology, another 1. So can I admit patients? I probably want to. I was going to hire though. So I could get the pregnant patient. Yeah, so hiring, you admit the pregnant patient for free. They go to an entrance. We're going to just have to worry about this heart patient next time. Probably have to hire the really good doctor. Because this doctor's going to end up being really inexperienced. We're probably going to need the nurses. But hiring a nurse right now is plus 50% rounded up. So it's 5 to hire a nurse. It's only 4 next time. Hiring an orderly would help with the maintenance costs once they've got where they're going. I'm going to hire an orderly because that's 2, and they have a car, and the pregnant patient has a car. Oh dear. And that's it. That's our 3 actions. So pregnant patient can be treated here, no problem. We don't need a nurse to move up because that's fine. We could move the orange patient up if we're happy to spend the time, and we're doing a bit more money that way because that's free. So 1 to bring the pregnant one in, 2, 3. It's free to move up. 4 time minus the 3 there means we spend 1 time. Yeah, because it's a white and a yellow doctor can treat obstetrics. So that's all okay, I think, because the nurse makes this white doctor the right level. So that's going to be $10. It reminds us on our player aid for it. And then we'll treat the orange patient here. So that's going to be 20. So not as much as last time. But you gotta do all the infrastructure and stuff. And we need to mark. I've just written it on a pad. But every time you treat a pregnant woman, 1 tally. So yeah, that'll be okay, I think. Oh, and the visitor. The visitor comes in for movement. So they spend a movement as well. So they go 1, go to the gift shop, buy something nice. But then it is free to go through our conveyor system to visit the patient that was there. And then they go home for free. So another 1 time was spent by the visitor. But the visitor does earn you $8 when they visit their patient. It did ask me to mark a tally if every patient got a visitor. So it didn't because we had 3 patients and only 1 visitor. But maybe in a future round we can sort that out. So the visitors went home. We've earned the money. But now it's time to spend it all. So doctors, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for staffing costs. There's the gift shop money. Then rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minus 2 orderlies, which are taking 6 away from those costs. So it only costs 2. So I've come out of that with 28. I need money for hiring next time. So as it once we get to 30 more visitors will come. We'll get 2 around instead of just 1. I could buy 6 points with 18. I think that might be enough money. It just depends how high up I go. I only need to go higher if I'm going to do pediatrics, but that was kind of a goal earlier on. I don't know how it will affect a future game. What will 6 points take me up to? 21, and then I'll get 1 from there. I'll just buy 5 points. Hopefully earn some more money next time. So that cost me 15. I bought 5 points. And yeah, before patients worsen, we'll get the popularity from that. So next round, university level up, but he's already red. Add doctors to the university. I won't add another pregnant patient this time. Fortunately, it's a very inexperienced doctor. Nurse, didn't hire a nurse. Then lab, go up. Doctors in the hospital, level down. Patients worsen. Oh, there's still a patient in here with an air conditioner, so that's our popularity. And then we need to reveal round 6's event, which is arson again. We're going to lose a treatment room. And any patients in it are going to die. Oh no. So new round. Admitting patients is going to be a thing. I don't think doing pediatrics is going to be... Oh, I should do this row of patients back to the bag. And then those are the available patients. Now that is good because my doctors now are pretty inexperienced. And the only doctor I can hire treats quite difficult patients. I would like to hire a doctor. To the lab, I'm only going to get use of once. I should maybe have built the lab in round 2 or something like that. I'm going to have to build if I want to do this building plan. I need to build something above here and then 1, 2, 3 rooms there if I want to satisfy that in the next 2 rounds. We should build something because it might influence who I hire. So we can always admit the psychiatry patients with therapy dogs to act as temporary nurses. If we treat them this round, it'll be okay. So what do we want to build? We want to build actual rooms. And we could build the lab, build more supply rooms and have orderlies. They just can't be touching. The treatment rooms can't be touching, can we? So I couldn't have done that. That was all to do the conveyor, wasn't it? So I think like whatever take back I did in previous rounds was null and void. And it should have I think that should have cost me at least 5 more time. Yeah, obviously I would have done different things, but just notice the light colours can't touch. It's a bit late to use it effectively, but maybe it's worth just having the lab and it's something to build on top of. Or you just do another treatment room next to it. It does mean that can't be a treatment room up there. And it wouldn't then be next to a supply room though, because the supply room is above this. I could just build it and it wouldn't function. That would be okay, wouldn't it? You do get a free supply room though. Well, not a free, it just doesn't cost an action. Yeah, just do that. That and the supply room costs me 4 because it's still on this ground floor. And then you could put another treatment room up here, but it's not next to a service hub. Putting the service hub in this corner is a bad idea. I'm kind of limited by what I've done in previous times. I'm just thinking what can be the last room, but it doesn't really matter, does it? It can be anything up there and it'll satisfy the blueprint for a few points at the end. Okay, so it's just going to be something that's not very useful. It's going to be a lab that will take ages to get to. Whereas if we just built another conveyor for this kind of fast travel system, at least that's going to save us time from any patients going over there. So new patients coming in. We can only have 1 in psychiatry, but it is a tough patient to admit. And then 1 in cardiology. I definitely want to hire, because I'm going to need a nurse. How much money have I got? I've got 8 money. I'm going to hire the good doctor and the nurse. No offense to the doctors. And then only a new cardiology patient can come in. It means now that I've kind of got people on floors where they're not as necessary. No, so we have that doctor in there, the nurse up there to make that doctor able to treat that patient. We could admit 4 patients now. We could admit all of these psychiatry patients and we can treat 3 of them. They'll all come in. So I haven't done any new cars. And I don't think I can admit this many people. I think maybe we're just gonna have to suffer through the time, I think. And instead of building a conveyor there, we'll build parking. Because otherwise we haven't got enough space for 3 more cars for the patients. Is that right now? There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Oh, but then a visitor needs to park. What if a visitor can't park? The visitor just doesn't come. So it might be better then to just kind of use one of the cue points to move the red further in and leave the white there, because we're not going to be able to treat that patient this turn anyway, and that way the visitor can come, if you see what I mean. I think that's the way to do it, even with all of these parking spaces. So yeah, that's going to be the 3 actions. Oh, and then we fill back up a little bit. Oh, why is that? Oh, it's because the treatment room's moved. Yeah, the conveyor should be there. I noticed the treatment room was in the wrong place. They haven't been teleporting there though, don't worry. So, oh, that's a baby as well. That should go up to the top row. And then we can do movement. So yeah, unfortunately, it's going to cost them 2 movement to get here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movement. Minus the 3 from my room. So that's going to be 5 movements. Unfortunately, 5 time. But we are treating 4 patients, so that's something. It's just there's nobody hanging around for the air conditioning either. None of it's ideal. It's as ideal as we can make it, I think, though. So yeah, white is fine. White plus nurse, yellow is fine. Red's fine. White plus 2 nurses is orange. That's all okay. So they are all getting treated, and a visitor is coming in. Oh, they're going to spend time too. So they need to come in for 1. But they can go and visit a patient down here, which doesn't cost any more time. So the visitor spends $8 in the gift shop and then goes away. And then we've got red is 32, orange is 20, and then yellow and white are 12 and 8, so another 20. So never had this much money in a round before, I don't think. They all go away, and luckily for me, take their cars with them. So there's another 4 cars going away. Like, there's nobody hanging around to benefit from the extra points for the air conditioning, unfortunately. Oh, I should have. When I admitted the pregnant lady last round, I should have had a point for that. You do get a point for admitting them. Okay, so that's income. Outgoings, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For the rooms, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, minus 6. So another 4 from there. The elevator costs are built up to the first floor, and there's 1 room. There's 1 building that can accommodate elevators, so that's 1 plus 1 is 2 maintenance for elevators. Hiring a janitor would offset that, but that's instead of hiring a doctor when you do a hire action. Okay, I've got all of this money. I want to be hiring next time, probably. I want to keep some back. How many points do I want to buy? I mean, I can definitely buy 10 points. There's 30 gone. It's just for next time, I can't see pediatrics happening just because we're losing a treatment room as well. We can kind of afford to do that, but it's going to send everyone outside and cost time. I think I do like these modules. Just the events I could do without. I don't really like events in any game, though. The winning condition is survive until the end, I think. It's get to the end of round 6 without exploding. So I've still got another 20 that I could buy points with. At the moment, we've got 2 visitors coming in. It would be nice to have everyone visited by someone so I can put a mark in the box for that. So I could potentially buy another... I'm not going to be able to get to 45 though, am I? This round. So that would only happen if I only had 3 patients. Let's buy another 5. Yeah. And then admin. Round 6. These patients come off. That doctor should level up. New one from the bag. Nurse I hired. No lab. Doctors in the hospital get worse. They can't get worse. Patients get worse. No patients. Round 6. We want to admit patients. We have quite poor doctors, though. We're going to have 2 visitors this time. So we've got to make sure there's car parking space for them. We want something to be built on here so we get the points for our blueprints. But first of all, arson, we lose a treatment room. So they go to an entrance, so it's just basically going to cost me time and a build action to put that back again. I can build a supply room for free, but it can't be adjacent to another supply room, so there's no point doing that. Probably going to only going to be able to admit 2 patients, sadly. And I need to just put a room here, no matter what it is. It'd be a treatment room that did nothing. Oh, it costs 3, not 2. Put the lab in. It'll me a popularity if I've got a doctor doing nothing. Might as well. I might need parking. Well, if I only get 2 patients in, then the 2 visitors will have visited every patient, and I can put that mark down. It's just I never did pediatrics, unfortunately. I tried. So patients. Orange patient is good. I've got an orange doctor. Cardiology. I can have nurses. It'll be okay. So I'd probably want to wait to admit. I could build again. I probably want to wait and see if there's any more red. Well, we can see what's in the bag is a yellow, so it's not going to get better in terms of like the difficulty, the money I'm getting from the patients. So I can just admit. And if I build, I will be able to take on more patients just by building parking spaces. I need to build a room above this one to fulfill the blueprint. Okay. Let's build again then. Let's build a supply room, why not? Up here for 3. And then if we build some more parking, I can admit more patients. So that's going to be another 2. And then new patients come in, but we've seen what they are. It just depends which order they come out. So that's going to be the child. So no new psychiatric patients. I think we've got so many people right now that the thing restricting me, I've got all of these nurses and staff hanging around, but the reason I could only admit 2 patients was because I've definitely got 2 visitors coming. They bring cars. Oh, I could have admitted 3 patients actually. Maybe I should have hired. No, but I needed the building there to do the blueprint. And I needed to build that treatment room back. Yeah, I needed 2 builds. I can hire, but I need to admit definitely. So 1 point for you for sure, and the more difficult one, yeah. So I've got 4 Q points. It would just cost time to move them to, I suppose not a lot of time. It would cost some time to go. And if I had a patient in at the end, they would activate the aircon. It's 2 movement whether the doctor goes here or here. There is already a doctor standing here, so that's no time. And then the other doctor can just go off to the lab and score me a point in that way, rather than taking the 2 time is 2/3 of a point to an extra 8. No, it might be worth it. Yeah, so your psychiatry, your cardiac, you've each got a car. So that was my last thing was admitting, and then I assume no guests come in. There's no patients come in. There's no cubes anyway. So 2 visitors are coming in to an entrance and bringing cars with them. So there we are. There's 1 more parking space actually. So 1, 2 movements. He's sorted. 3, 4, and they're sorted. 5, 6. These are going to have to kind of wait around. They can all sit in here though, can't they? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 2 patients in here, so they can... Oh, they're not going to visit all the patients though. 12. No, just 11, because that's all free. So 11 movement, 11 time, minus 8. No, minus 3 is 8. Ouch. So that's a lot of time. But, let's see, the gift shop, the visitors each spent 8 at the gift shop, so there's 16. And they go home with their cars. Then the patients... Should maybe have done a pregnant patient for the end. Let's see, I've got 8, 16, 28, 48 for the patients. And their cars go away. I didn't do a therapy dog or anything. I meant to. It is a lot. Well, it's an expert module, of course. There's a lot to juggle in 9 modules. So, costs. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 money from staff. Rooms 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 minus 6 is 6. Elevators is still 2. And then 64. Oh yeah, with the 16 I already had. Oh yeah, I get you. $64, not bad. So I think that's all of the expenses. So then we just buy points. So that's going to be 45. That's going to be 15 points. There's no one to benefit from the air conditioning. There's none of that. So 52. That seems okay. So yeah, your doctors, you get 4 points for an orange, 2 points for each white. So 4, 6, 8, 10. 1 for each nurse, 11, 12, 13. And then separate buildings. Oh, it does have to be for the building to score. So 8 points for each extra building you built. There is a clarification in the files on Board Game Geek. It has to be a functional building. It has to be, I think, a building you can treat a patient in. I can't remember the exact term that it gives you, but the actual rules of the game don't make that clear. A building is defined as having at least 1 service hub. That's a clarification in this document. So this does not count as a building for those 8 extra points. You get 2 points for every treatment room on the first floor. If I had built higher, you would get more and more points for doing that, but I didn't. So just 1 treatment room up there is another 2 points. Any patients left in your hospital are minus points, but I didn't get that. Yeah, orange is better than yellow. And then time spent. Don't forget time spent. So time spent is going to be, is it the last one that you passed? Yes, the last one that I passed is minus 9 points. So that will put me on 58. So same rank. Went right up, came right back down. But the thing I'm keen to get towards, which I actually haven't really done a lot of, I imagine. So, which players have an air conditioner on every floor of their building? I only did 1. The name of the final... So I'm going to... Let me make a note for these, because usually I would print a PDF off or something of these, so I wouldn't have to write on the final thing. Let me make little notes. So, no 1. Second, what was the name of the final event? Arson. Which players have a tally mark for gift shop? You got a tally mark for gift shop if every patient had a guest. So maybe it would have been worth scoring fewer points in that final round to just have 2 patients, so the 2 guests would have treated them. I don't know, because we don't know what the effects of this are going to be. You find out that in game 2. Which players have at least 1 janitor? Not me. And having a janitor would have let me move the conveyors around. It would have decreased their maintenance costs that are introduced with this. Which players have at least 5 tally marks for obstetrics? Wow. So that means I would have needed to have done it in 5 of the 6 rounds of the game. Because there's only, in a solo game, there's only 1 pregnant patient each round available. And there would have only been 1 doctor to hire in each of those 5 rounds. It's doable, I'm sure. But I got 1 tally mark and I was pleased with that. 6 tally marks for pediatrics. Yeah. Didn't do that. Which player have at least 6 poops in their clinic? So I did not have a lot of poop in my clinic. Have fulfilled the goal of their urban design card. Oh, I should have 4 points for that, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. For my urban design card, because I did fulfill my blueprint. And built on the highest floor available. I didn't build on the highest floor available. That's going right up to... I didn't add these things in, but you can... At any time, you can add these boards on there. It's just... They're only there if you need them, basically. So you can build on floor 2 and 3, make it more profitable when you build high up. But it gets more and more expensive to build in that 3rd dimension. And which players still have a red doctor? So actually, it might have been worth... Again, depending on what those rewards are for the next game, it could have been worth not having the money and points from treating an orange patient at the very end and maybe sending him to the lab, because then he would have been red for the end. But yeah, so all we basically know is after Fraser Crane started out with big goals for a psychiatric hospital that was going to treat the pregnant ladies and the babies around... Really, I did a lot of psychiatry, but yeah, I was Fraser for this game, so it's what you should expect from him. He started with lofty goals and didn't quite achieve them, and the hospital kept burning down. But hey, we made it through. We got some semblance of a game of Clinic from some of that, I hope. And so yeah, it's something that I haven't played in nearly 3 years now, since I did that last playthrough, and that was with just a prototype of it. I liked Clinic before that, because I had the old pizza box edition. I will say though that now, after kind of being refreshed of it all and adding on things from the expansion, and caveating that, you're not supposed to just jump into the expert expansion. You're not supposed to just mix all of these things together in one great big go. I realise all of that, but I also realise that the way I need to do videos all of the time and do many, many different games, I'm not going to be able to do it the normal way of, okay, just play a game with 1 module, and then, okay, next game, we'll introduce 1 more module, and it gets a bit more complicated. That is the way to do it. I just have to jump in sometimes. So I'm showing off a lot of things, although really, saying a lot of things are there. I did treat some pregnant ladies. We did the visitors. We did do a bit of air conditioning. And we had dreams. We had lofty goals of treating the children. It kind of sits on the edge of, is this too heavy for me? It's just a bit too much. But yeah, it's There is nothing like, and you can say this pretty much for Town Centre and for Small City as well, for loads of the games by Alban Viard and Card City as well. There is nothing quite like his games. There is nothing that I have played anyway, or that I've come across, that has this kind of 3D building element that is then just part of a much heavier game. Town Centre, I would love to do a playthrough of at some point, because I would need to set up some kind of side-on way of filming, because it's a 3D building game, but you're building a town centre out of these coloured cubes, representing like commercial, residential, all of that. But putting certain combinations next to each other causes your town to grow by itself. So you only get a couple of cubes each round, but by placing them in the right way, the city grows by itself, and it's great. And then Small City takes that concept and turns it into a incredibly heavy game from that. And yeah, Clinic takes that 3D building idea, but puts it in like a hospital setting and stuff. As great as it is, it might be one of those that's just like, it either needs to be put away until sometime in the 12th of never, when I'm able to just sit there playing games all day, every day. And the same game, I mean. And I can't do this all day, every day. I'm part-time doing this and a normal job. If you'd like to help me maybe be making videos all day, every day, patreon.com/slickerdrips. Your support there would be massively appreciated. But yes, tons and tons of stuff going into Clinic, and hopefully I've given you a taste of some of it anyway. You've seen a bit of a cross-section of modules from various expansions, from extension boxes 1, 2 and 3. You've seen a sample of the expert campaign, how it combines them, the story that you have, the things that you will be asked. But as for how do those things come back in a future campaign, and how does the story go, which other modules are there in there, leave that to be, if your interest has been piqued. The extensions and things are available in UK shops right now. I'm not sure of like worldwide availability. I know that I think the Kickstarter has delivered, so there will be stock about if you're interested in it. And even if it's just the main Clinic game. And the first extension, as I said, has got a load going for it. Hopefully, the playthrough's given you some idea of some of that anyway. And if you'd like to see one just with the base game, albeit with prototype components, I have got an older Clinic one available too. Thank you very much for being here with me and for building this hospital and treating all of these people. We treated most people in Small City in this stream. Your support will be massively appreciated on Patreon or Ko-fi if you fancy it and you're able to. But thank you for spending time with me today, and I will see you very, very, very soon. Thanks, everyone. See ya. Bye. Bye. Bye.